American study looking at living standards, prosperity and tolerance across the globe. Overall, Norway was the top performing country, followed by Sweden, Switzerland, Iceland and New Zealand. Well, Michael Green, who is the Executive Director of the Social Progress Imperative, the group behind the figures, is in our central London studio this morning. A very good morning to you. You compared countries with a comparable GDP. What were you looking at specifically?
So the Social Progress Index is based on entirely non-economic measures. So we want to say, how are countries performing in terms of the real things that matter to real people? Do I have enough food? Do I have a house? Can I get an education? Am I healthy? Do I have freedom of choice? So we added up together 52 different indicators, none of them economic, and then said, how does that compare to a country's economic performance? And as you say, the UK came out in 11th, which was okay. We did pretty well, not spectacularly. New Zealand was probably the biggest overperformer. New Zealand's not that rich a country, but it came 5th overall. So New Zealand really punched above its weight. On the other hand, the United States, quite a lot richer than us, came out lower in social progress, 16th. The United States was punching below its weight. So the UK was doing okay, not bad.
Okay. What were we doing particularly well? I've seen some of the papers, the headlines have picked out that we have the best loos in the world. I mean, it's not the greatest thing to be proud of, is it?
No, so on water and sanitation, like a lot of rich countries, we're doing very, very well in absolute terms. Where we do very well relatively actually is in opportunity, on things like personal rights and also on access to higher education. And we're not bad on things like tolerance and freedom of choice. Where we're a bit lacking, though, is I think on an issue of sort of health and wellness. We're 111th in the world on obesity, and there's kind of a warning there. And also, I think ecosystem sustainability. We're 60th in the world on ecosystem sustainability, and that's going to be a concern for us and for a lot of other rich countries.
And you mentioned other rich countries. Obviously, America springs to mind when you talk about obesity and sustainability. Where did you say they came in the ranking?
So the United States came 16th, and they had a very, very striking result. Very low scores on personal safety, even on access to information. Here is the home of Silicon Valley, and just not enough Americans have got access to the internet, have got mobile phones. America's scores on health and wellness were terrible, weak across the board, 68th in the world. So, I mean, a really sort of a big wake-up call for the United States.
And do you think that anyone will take any notice of this?
Well, I think our hope is that by breaking it down into all these different areas, we can really sort of show where there are the most urgent priorities for improvement. So actually, the goal is to make it really actionable and actually help decision makers, prioritize the right areas and help people maybe put pressure on their politicians about the things that really matter.
And just finally, is this the first time that you've compiled this axis, or are we actually doing better or worse than in previous years?
So we did another one last year. I mean, because we're measuring outcomes like life expectancy and literacy rates, it's not going to move a lot year to year, but over time we'll start to see trends, and that's when it'll get really interesting to see who's improving and who's getting worse.
Michael Green, really good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.